Nick Kelly, thank you for coming in studio. So let's start here. 4 people killed in this shooting, but the father, Colin Gray, charged with just 2 counts of second-degree murder, but 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Why just the 2 counts of second-degree murder instead of for all 4 victims?
Well, this is a horrible tragedy. And so when we look at it from a legal perspective, now these are the initial charges. Potentially, they could be additional charges or other charges as well. But when we look at the charges, we look at the second-degree murder, and that is the most severe one it is. And then also involuntary manslaughter. Involuntary manslaughter means that they didn't have the intent. He didn't have the specific intent to do the harm, and also cruelty to children. Now, it's important to remember this is the first time in Georgia that a parent has been charged in shootings like this.
Yeah. The Crumbleys, as Isabel just mentioned, set this precedent in Oxford, Michigan after the school shooting there. Is it your expectation that we'll see this, if not the norm, but more likely, more common after that first case in Michigan?
That's potentially possible. Yeah. In that case in Michigan, when we look at that case from a legal perspective, there's 2 key things that we want to look at, right? When we look at first, we want to look at the fact about the gun. Did the parents lock up that gun? That was a huge issue in the case. Did the child, a minor, have access to that gun? Was it easily for them to get the gun? And second, the knowledge of the parents. What knowledge did the parents have? And that is going to play a role in this case. The father, right? What did he do about the gun? Did he make sure that it was locked up, that the child didn't know how to access the gun? And also, what knowledge did the kid have? And we have to remember, a year ago, there were some issues with the FBI, and the police came to the house about allegedly some plans to shoot. And the father said that the son had unfeathered, access to the gun, and whether that is going to play a role as well.
Let's walk through that step by step. But first, for Colin Gray, who's the father, Colin Gray, the father, Colt Gray, the son, before we get to what he knew about his son's potential intentions, it's illegal in Georgia to give a gun to a child, essentially, right? I mean, to just hand over, give him access to this weapon before we know what he knew about what his son wanted to do with it.
Right, the unfeathered, and a correction, the father said that he did not have, the gun was protected, and that's definitely going to be an important issue, that the father gave them the gun as a gift. And so the parents are supposed to, as a minor, make sure that the gun is safe and make sure that the gun is protected, and so something like this doesn't happen again.
FBI received tips about threats of a school shooting in May 2023. They interviewed Colin and Colt. And Colt denied making the threats. There was no probable cause. There was nothing that law enforcement could do. In Colin's defense, will we expect to see, and is it credible, that he could say, I mean, they didn't arrest him, they didn't do anything, he denied doing it. How would I have known that this was possible if even after investigation they didn't find anything worth pursuing?
That's potentially possible. When we look at it from the legal perspective, we understand right now that they have been charged. And so the next step is for the grand jury. And the grand jury will hear evidence about this, and they will make a determination whether or not to indict him. Right? And then once, in fact, if he is indicted, then that's when the criminal trial starts. And that's in front of a jury. And that's where he could potentially put on that defense of saying basically the fact of what you stated.
Yeah. All right. Kelly Hyman, thanks so much.
All right, still to come, the ad war is on. The Harris campaign is releasing their first abortion